I just want to formally welcome the Judge President of the Eastern Cape Division of the High Court, Judge President Sangoni, and Premier Masuale of the Eastern Cape Province. Good morning, Judge Makaula. Are you well? I'm very well, thanks. Are you relaxed, or should we help you in that direction? Please switch on the mic.
It's not on, thank you. I think I'm relaxed, though I spent half of the night awake,
Okay.
which comes with the territory.
Oh yes,
Yes.
oh yes, oh yes. Now, I noticed that you were a prosecutor, a magistrate before you became an attorney.
Yes, that's true, CJ.
For how long were you an attorney?
17 years, I think it was.
And for how long have you been a High Court judge?
For 7 years now. 3 years was extinct. It's almost 10 years if I include the acting stint.
And in which division are you based?
I'm based in the Eastern Cape Division, that is
Which
Grahamstown.
location?
It's Grahamstown, CJ.
Grahamstown.
Yes.
Now, tell me, just take a bit of time. It doesn't have to be too long, but in your own words, why do you believe that you are just the right person for the position of Judge President of the Eastern Cape Division of the High Court?
CJ, I believe that I'm the right candidate in the sense that I've been in the division for so long. I worked in the Transkei for many years, I think 24 years, inclusive of the 17 years. I know the division. I've got a vision for the division as well.
Please share the vision with us.
The vision, CJ, which I have is two-pronged. The reason being that the Eastern Cape is unique.
Is
Unique. Unique in the sense that it comprises of the former homelands, that is the Transkei, Ciskei, and the Republic of South Africa. But in terms of the borders, it is still the same. Geographically, it's still the same. Transkei remains Transkei, Bisho remains Bisho, and the Eastern Cape remains Eastern Cape, meaning East London, Grahamstown, King Williamstown, and PE. So my vision would certainly differ because of the different cultures and the different situations of these provinces. Grahamstown, for instance, is different from the Transkei. The problems in Grahamstown are not the same as the problems in the Transkei. What the vision I have for Grahamstown is transformation. Transformation not necessarily of the judiciary, but transformation of the bar and the side bar. Because interlinked with that is that if the side bar and the bar are not transformed, then we have a problem. That interlinks with the question of acting appointments, permanent appointments for the division. When it comes to the Transkei, it's different. Because of my exposure in the BEC and the various committees, the problems in Transkei are different. My vision for Transkei is different. Transkei is still rural. We have infrastructural problems. We have backlog case flow blockages in Transkei, something which it does not occur often in Grahamstown and the rest of the province. So for that reason, my vision for Transkei is that there has to be improvement on the question of the infrastructure, on the question of the case flow blockages in respect of the magistrate, the regional court, as well as the high court. It is unique because it is rural, and the problems which are there are unique. So my vision for that area of the division is that it should be, that there should be improvement in that regard. Thank you, CJ.
now, how can you assure us that you have what it takes to lead, what leadership and managerial strengths do you have on the basis of which you are confident you would lead the division well?
CJ, I've been in the area for, as I said, in the area of Transkei for more than 24 years, working there. I've been in Grahamstown for more than 10 years, for almost 10 years to say the least. I know the culture of Grahamstown, which is totally different from the culture of the Transkei. I have the support of some of the stakeholders who are forming part of the dispensation of justice. And I've been involved in various committees which have to do with administration of the province. So for those reasons, I feel I'm better placed to be appointed as a leader in the division.
Yes. Well, I'm just asking because your other colleagues who have applied can tell you they know these places, they are familiar with the territory, and they've been judges there. 2 of them are deputy judges, presidents. What is it about the capacity to lead judges and magistrates and stakeholders do you have, or can you share with us to give us that comfort that if the judiciary in that province were to be left in your hands because of those skills, those strengths, the knowledge of what it takes to lead, to steer the ship that you have, as shared with us, indeed the judiciary in the Eastern Cape would be in safe hands if you were to be appointed. How do you lead? How have you led? What do you have?
I have not led the judiciary.
Yeah, sure.
But I've led in others. I've led in other circles. I've been a leader in the attorney's profession. I've been a leader in the sense that I was a magistrate before, and I've got those qualities to lead, and I've led in respect of the period for which I was a magistrate.
Yes.
I've got the respect of the practitioners, especially one judging from the comments which I've received.
Yes.
I've got the respect of the magistrates of the area in respect of the comments I've received. So I've got my personal skills. I'm a forthright person. I believe in being straightforward. I believe in solving problems directly with the people. And I've over the number of years I've been in the division, and the respect of my colleagues as well.
Yes.
My voice matters during our meetings, and my suggestions are carried through.
Yes.
So in that respect, I think I have the qualities, more especially because of my involvement with the stakeholders in the area. I interact with all the stakeholders who are forming part of the PEEC, for instance. And I've earned respect from them. I've been instrumental in the processes of the PEEC. I think I have the qualities of being a leader.
Yes. One of the challenges that I've picked up insofar as some of the judges in the division are concerned, are delayed judgments. How do you plan to address that if you were to be appointed Judge President?
As I said in my comments to the comments of the Eastern Cape Association of Advocates in respect of delayed judgments, I've been a culprit. I've been there. I know what it takes. I've been reprimanded by this commission in respect of reserved judgments. I will share that with my colleagues. I will share that. In fact, I've already shared with acting judges as well, sharing my personal experience. So if there are delayed judgments, as we do in the, for instance, I'm a member of the court monitoring performance committee. I've served in that committee. We have instances where judges have got more judgments which are more than 5 months. We go to the colleagues. You go and approach the colleague. You sit down with the colleague. You inquire when the judgment is going to be delivered. You inquire what the problem is, and you try and assist as much as you can. So in that event, I would call the colleague, sit down with the colleague, sit down with the acting judge, and discuss the matter, and share with them the personal experience I had.
What system will you put in place to be able to tell before it is too late that there are these reserved judgments and from who, so that intervention can take place?
The Court Performance Monitoring Committee is dealing with that currently. But it does that on a monthly basis after month end. So in that event, we are able to monitor the age of the case. For instance, we have a template which says 0 to 3. You know that he's got 3 or 4 judgments in that category. And if again in the following month, when statistics are done, you see that the number has not reduced, it's then that it should ring a bell to you that there should be something wrong. You may be proactive in that regard and approach the judge concerned to find out what is the position, what is happening in respect of those matters.
Padhead matters, what views have you to share in relation to Padhead matters, with an eye on ensuring that court performance is satisfactory?
When it comes to that, the PEEC deals with that. You check if the matter is from 0 to 6 months. Once it's more than 12 months, it's then that it forms part of the backlog cases. It is then that you approach the presiding judge, or for instance, in the case of me being appointed as a JP, you approach the deputy judge president in that division, you talk to him, you raise the issue with him, but those matters normally surface when it comes to the PEC meetings. That's where they are flagged. And even in respect of the Court Performance Monitoring Committee, you pick up that there are criminal matters which have not been resolved, and then you deal with those issues. I think the system is there in place in respect of the both committees to secure and to guard against those cases being. Like, for instance, I'll make an example. In the last PEC which we had, we were able to pick up that there are so many number of cases which are more than 5 years, which are more than 2 years. And some were 4 years, and others were 8 years. So we were able to pick those matters through the structure. And even other than the structure, if I'm hands-on, I will get the statistics from the statistician and then deal appropriately with the matter.
What challenges does the magistracy face in the Eastern Cape according to your observation, and what needs to be done to improve court performance in both the regional courts and the district courts?
The stats show that there is a problem, especially in the Mthatha area or Transkei area. For example, if you check with the reasons why the cases are not progressing, there are backlog blockages which are there. Instances with, like, for instance, the magistrates' offices in the Transkei. The problem is with the question of witnesses, the arrival of witnesses at court. Some witnesses travel a long distance. Like, for instance, I'm from Mount Frey. There's a locality which is called Nomkologoto, which is about 30 kilometers away from town, and it's gravel road. And transport arrives in town after 10. It's a fact of life. In the PEEC, we dealt with a situation of Kalamahasha in Elodale. Kalamahasha is 80 kilometers from town. And all those people have to travel by public transport, which gets to town very late. There's problem of electricity outages. There is a problem of stenographers recording machines not working. So those are the main blockages which are there. There is a problem which is being faced in the Transkei, be it High Court, Regional Court, or District Court, where the prisoners arrive in court very late. They arrive in court very late. The police officials will point fingers at the correctional services, and that is the major problem which we encounter in the district courts, in the district court as well as the regional court.
Is there any case management system that is being applied by the regional courts, the district courts, and if so, is it effective?
The regional court is effective. I worked with Mr. Dunya, who is the regional court magistrate, who is the regional court president. It is his management skills are very effective. And I'm of the view that if I get appointed, we would have to emulate what he's doing. Like, for instance, this month end, if you were to ask him this month, how many outstanding cases are there? He would tell you immediately. How many backlog cases are there? He would tell you immediately. So this manner the manner in which he's structured his statistics is very good. So there is case flow management in the regional court as well as the district court. But I'm of the view that I'm of the view that it is effective, but for the blockages which are there.
How do you intend to contribute to the enhancement of performance or efficiency there in those courts?
The only thing that has to happen, as I initially said, Grahamstown is different from the Transkei, and it is painful to me, because the same stakeholders who form the PEC are the same in Mthatha as well as Grahamstown. But Grahamstown, they are efficient and they are working. But in the Transkei, they are not efficient and they are not working. So what I plan to do, both for the High Court, the Regional Court, as well as the District Court, is that I should, in fact, we should come together as the PEC, sit down and iron out the reasons why witnesses go to court late. In Grahamstown, for instance, we have a system where you book in witnesses. If you have a case for the whole week, all the witnesses are booked in a pre-and-B. I think there is no reason why that system is not used in Transkei, because the major reason for matters not proceeding is that the matters start late. So my answer to that, CJ, would be, I would first see to it that the PEC works. All the stakeholders in that organization, they should work, or in that committee, they should work. Work with the intention of improving the stats. And with that, there will be no problems, apart from the fact that then the buildings in that area are old, the infrastructure is bad. Other courts have no courts. We're using makeshifts, like the cases in the instance of Mkanduli. There's no court. We're busy with that situation in Mkanduli. We're busy with the question of population in the Mthatha High Court, but in the Mthatha Magistrates Court. But in the PEC, we've managed to unblock that. When I got to the PEC, I was informed that from 1994, they wanted to move the Magistrate Court of Mthatha. But in the last meeting, we managed to secure that. We've managed to identify a site. Mthatha Magistrate Court is going to be moved.
You touched on the organized profession. What views do you have in relation to empowering women and black men by ensuring that they get quality work like their white compatriots?
It's a problem, CJ, which I am grappling with when it comes to Grahamstown.
What plan do you have?
The plan which I have is that I want to engage the societies, that is the advocate societies, with a view to asking them that transformation is key, they should heed to transformation. And furthermore, what I would say in respect of that is that I was talking to a colleague who was an advocate. They have to take in, the senior counsel have to take in junior counsel. There's an effort in Western Cape to try and cap that. There's an effort elsewhere to try and cap that. I don't have a hard and fast way of dealing with it, because it depends entirely on the work which one gets, that is the advocates. If one gets work, or if client decides to brief advocate A, I have no powers to say that he should not, and he should give that brief to a black counsel. But stakeholders like the attorney's, state attorney's office, there has to be a policy that they should brief black advocates, especially black women.
JP?
Thank you, Sir Jay. It's already known, we are not going to keep on going back to it, that you have appeared before this commission, especially at the time you were a candidate for the position of Deputy Judge President.
Yes.
Now, let's look at the problems that were raised there. The problems that were raised there were the issue of delayed judgments,
Yes.
standing judgments. Now, one of the people criticizing you, I think, quoted some cases which have not been completed to date,
Yes.
or which were outstanding for a long time. Can you briefly tell us what the position is with those cases? There is Fanny and others. Do you remember that case?
I don't have an independent recollection.
JP, it's difficult to hear you. Maybe you should bring the mic closer to you, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They quoted some cases, Fanny and others. Now they say the application was heard, that was an application matter, on 27 May 2010, and judgment was delivered on 4th August 2011.
Yes.
Could it be true?
I tried to verify that, Sir JP, and I couldn't find the file. In fact, 3 of the files I couldn't find. It's only the file which I found is the tri-zone file, the tri-zone matter. The other 2, I was not able to comment in respect of the other one, that is the 2010 one. I'm unable to comment because I couldn't find the file from the archives.
I know in your response you said one of them, judgment has been delivered, in fact, long time ago.
Yes, there was a case which there was apparently, as I responded, I don't want to call it an error, or I don't know whether to call it an error, where they said that I was the scribe and that judgment has not been delivered. It is not correct. It was delivered, and I was not the scribe.
But
It was Ms. Mjali who was the scribe.
But generally, what I would like to find out from you, have these cases been taken care of?
They have, as they correctly, as they also say, JP, that they've been delivered, apart from the one which they have a problem with, which I have a problem with, and I don't regard it most probably as a mistake, but I take it is a mistake.
Now, why should it be so? Why must you think it's not a mistake? What are you trying to convey to us?
I'm saying it's not a mistake because if the person who was investigating those cases, he should base whatever he is writing on information before him. You can't just say, suck from the thumb and say that a judgment has not been delivered when you have no basis for it. You must have a basis for it. You must have a starting point. So if the starting point is not there, then one would assume that it is not correct.
Are you perhaps suggesting there is an attitude which is not altogether honest?
It is.
Why?
I say so because I've also referred to the instance of Chiki. When Chiki applied, false information was attributed to him. And it was a glaring thing that it was false. And I think of another case of Acting Judge Greenland. Acting Judge Greenland was said to have not been aware of the procedure of admitting advocates and attorneys. And it was stated that he admitted advocates in chambers. And when we listened, as Grams and Judge, to the judges, to the transcript, it transpired that it was not correct. But I did not quote and refer to that instance because the facts I don't have at hand. But the cheeky was prepared.
But in your view, if you are right, people are guilty of that, what could they be trying to achieve perhaps?
Grahamstown is a tricky horse to ride. Very tricky horse to ride. I may say so. The reason why I say so is because you have to stay in Grahamstown in order to understand the dynamics of Grahamstown. You have to be there. I'll make an example of the attitude of the Grahamstown bar. In fact, I cannot brush everybody with one brush. I remember sometime last year. It must have been last year. Yes, it was last year, beginning of the year. We were invited to a function in Grahamstown that was a bar function. When one of the senior advocates of that division was recognizing the people who were there and us in particular. He's an ex-member of this commission. He resigned from this commission. When he stood up to address us, he said, "Honorable judges." And then he kept quiet and said, "Judges," thereafter. Honorable judges and judges. A colleague of mine who was there took exception as I did. And we wrote him a letter and asked what he meant by saying honorable judges and judges. And the response was it was a joke which went bad. But to us, we clearly knew that it was not a joke.
In other words,
Yes.
to cut
In other words, JP, there is an underlying attitude in the bar of Grahamstown.
supposing then you are taken in, you are recommended and then subsequently appointed, what would you do about that?
What I plan is to sit down with the Grahamstown bar to say to them they are part of the judiciary or they are part of justice in this country. The transformation is key, and beg them to toe the line.
So it's a question of transformation.
It's a question of transformation. We have to try and engage them in an effort to transform.
I see that.
And in fact,
Sorry.
just before that, because this thing touched on me. You know what happened? 2 days after that remark, the newly appointed chairman of the bar approached us. In fact, he came to my office to say that he was apologizing on behalf of the bar for what happened. And I asked him one question: who else did you approach? It turned out that he approached me and Gerald Bloom. And I did not want to go further. And then I kept quiet and said, apology accepted. So if that was not meant for us, why did he come and apologize? So I think they have to be set down, deal with them, try and weed out whatever wrong information which they have, and try and inculcate on them the culture of transformation. And even in respect of that, I've had access to their website. There are 82 advocates in Grahamstown and PE, 10 of whom are black. And out of that 10, 3 are women. So it tells something as well.
Have you not been asked to provide, if you can, witnesses, women for acting positions?
Have I not been asked
Yes.
to bring? I've been.
What is the outcome?
The outcome is that there are none.
So you don't blame anybody for that?
I can blame the bar and the side bar because of not producing the women. Because it is inconceivable that we can, from the judiciary or from the judiciary, groom people who are not there.
Now, you have indicated that you have been asked to avail your services or yourself to partake or perform some duties insofar as the BEC is concerned.
Yes.
Now, also you have talked about the infrastructure of the area.
Yes.
Is there anywhere where you are giving assistance
There is.
to improve the situation?
There is. For instance, when I got there, I was told that the question of moving Umtata Magistrates Court started in 1994. I don't know well, yes, I think I've moved away from the mic. Started in 1994. From 1994 till 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago, they were not able to move the Magistrates Court. They were not able to find a site to decant to. But through the process of me being involved, I inquired about the embassy, which I knew belonged to Works and Energy. We facilitated a meeting with the national office because I am going to be honest with the Premier as well. We have a problem with the Department of Regional Department of Works and Energy in Umtata. It's a serious problem. I don't know whether the acting regional court the acting regional Works and Energy manager has been acting for a long time, but there is a problem. To an extent that the contribution I made was to call the national office, arrange the meeting with the national office with Mr. Mkaula, Dunywa, and the DPP. And we managed to secure a site for the moving of the Mtata offices, which is underway. We are supposed to be having a meeting next week as a report back of what has happened.
In other words, things are now improving.
They are improving. I've been to Mkanduli, CJ, where Mkanduli got bent a few years ago. There were problems with mobile courts. We have been able to secure mobile courts. We have been able to, through the regional office, able to deal with Mkanduli. The only problem which we have currently is that everything is on site, but for the fact that we were informed that ESCOM says it's going to take 3 years to have electricity on site. We were told that the municipality will take more than 2 years to connect water, and we are busy with it.
Thank you, CJ.
Thank you, JP. Premier?
Thank you so much, CJ, and thanks to the honorable commissioners. Honorable Judge Makaula, good morning. Just one question for me. I was a bit taken aback, I must say, but on the subject of transformation, you referred to the uniqueness of the Eastern Cape, and I quite agree with that. Given the presence of a large measure of communities that practice or live in traditional or communal ways, would you say the practice, the theory and practice of the law as we have, does sufficiently accommodate their practices so far, 23 years, notwithstanding the disparities you've referred to, but just the integration? What's your comment in that regard? If it is sufficient, if not, would you, upon you getting this position, in any way contribute in actually ensuring access and integration to justice services?
I think it's not. If I understand the question correctly, the Transkei is predominantly rural. There are tribal courts, there are district courts, there are regional courts. If I understand your question correctly, are you saying that the traditions of the community, have they been taken into account in the dispensation of justice? I think they have, in terms of the Constitution. The Constitution is clear on that one. That not unless everything is in conflict with the Constitution. But one may be proactive in writing judgments, in promoting what you say, Honorable Premier. And one thing which strikes me through you, CJ, is that we have a problem currently, which has been created by the Superior Courts Act. And it's a pity that JP has left, because I'm the one who initially picked up this problem. And
I'm sorry, Jai, are you still dealing with the Premier's question, or are
Yes.
you moving to something else?
Yes, I'm dealing with the Premier's question
Okay,
in respect
all right.
of the justice to the people on the ground. The problem which we are encountering is that you'll find that since the Grahamstown is the seat of the court, people from the rural areas, like for instance, we've had instances where cases from Bizana are taken to Grahamstown From Bizana to Umtata, it's more than 500 kilometers. It's about 350 kilometers. From Umtata to Grahamstown is over 400 kilometers. Because of the choice and because of the system at place, those people are affected. Because they have to travel all the way from Bizana to Umtata if they want justice done to their cases or to their litigation. Something which ordinarily would have been taken care of in Umtata, but for the new act.
Yes, my last question would be, in respect of that, what would you do, given the opportunity? What would you do to make amends to that situation?
It's a problem because it's promulgated in the act. It's in terms of the act. And I don't think the act foresaw that. And I think it's a problem. Like, for instance, in Grahamstown, we had to introduce the second judge when it comes to motion court because of the same problem. Mtata is going to run dry of cases. It's going to run dry because if the plaintiff chooses to issue summons in Grahamstown, in fact, it is the position even currently, because all the work which is supposed to be done in Mtata, it's done in Grahamstown. Because the commercial banks, they brief people in Grahamstown. The commercial people, they do work in Grahamstown. And the big firms are in Grahamstown. So the Mtata in no time is going to run dry. And it's going to affect the question of transformation and the like.
I think the Premier is saying, if appointed as Judge President, what solution would you propose?
I have a problem in that regard at CJ. It's a problem which is there, which I see. I've got a problem because it's in terms of the Act.
But why can't you initiate a process in terms of which the Act can be amended?
I think it's the major one which has to be done, because even the Act provides in Section 27 that if the party feels aggrieved, then he has to make an application to the court. But I take your point. In fact, it's something which has to be done because it's affecting the dispensing of justice. If somebody from Bizana will be called upon to go to Grahamstown to answer a case which he could answer in Umtata, but because of the Act, then the Act has to be amended.
Commissioner Nyambi?
Thank you, CJ. Morning, Judge Makaula.
Morning, Commissioner.
If you can maybe try to share with us, because we'll be dealing with other 3 judges after yourself, what is it that is standing out that might make us to seriously consider you? Because this is a very serious leadership position that will make you to be able to deal with the challenges and the transformation that we talk about.
Personality as well as the experience which I have in terms of my involvement in the various administrative committees. The personality, traits which I have, as well as the experience which I have, the administrative area experience which I have by being involved in the various commissions.
That is standing out compared to the rest that we'll be dealing with today.
I think so. I think so.
My second question is about your weaknesses.
My weakness, the one which I relish and the one which I hate, is the one of outstanding judgments.
Repeat that part.
The one which I hate, the experience and the weakness which I had, is in fact, which I hate is the one of having handed down judgments late.
Do you still have it, or have you done something to deal with it?
I don't have it. And even then, I don't know whether Commissioner was here. Even then, it was ascribed to health and the rest. So as I responded to what has been stated, is that I have taken measures. It will never happen again. So it's the only weakness which I have, which I can allude to. Because other than that, even the comments are positive. Even the attributes which the comments are referring to.
Your strength?
Before that, CJ, can I follow up?
You want to follow up? Very well.
On the weaknesses. We're not asking what was your weakness. We're asking what are your weaknesses now as a person, not judgments and all that. As a person, you've got weaknesses and strength. What are your weaknesses?
None, not any I can think of. I can't think of any weaknesses which I have.
Okay.
Not unless, Commissioner Malema, I don't understand your question. Weaknesses, if you say, what are your, like for instance, if I were to ask you what your weaknesses are,
Yeah, because you
it's
see,
it's subjective, honestly. I can't say my weaknesses are.
no, you see, some of the people, when you ask them what are your weaknesses, they say, I'm short-tempered, I can't work with collective,
Oh.
I come late, you know, those type of things.
None I
Is-
can think of, honestly.
Okay.
Thanks.
What might you regard as your strength as a judge?
Communication. I'm able to communicate with people. Communication.
Thank you, CJ.
Thank you, Commissioner Nyambi. Commissioner Helens?
Thank you, Chief Justice. Judge, I don't want to harp on delayed judgments all the time, but I'm not sure what your answer was to the JP's question with regard to the Fani matter. According to the note, it was an urgent application heard on the 27th of May 2010, and judgment was delivered on the 4th of August 2011. Are those facts correct?
I don't know. Hence, I say that I don't know those facts because it's a matter which occurred in 2011. And I tried to find access to the file and I couldn't. So it's a matter which I dealt with and it's done and dusted. So it's not before me anymore. I'm unable to find whether agency was no longer the issue at the time the judgment was delivered. I honestly do not know.
I don't understand that answer with respect, Judge, because in your judicial soul, in your judicial conscience, is it even possible that you could hear a judgment in May 2010 and hear an application, an urgent application in May 2010 and give judgment in August 2011? Is it even possible?
No, I don't think it is.
But shouldn't that be your answer then? That's not possible.
I can't say it's not possible.
You've just said it's not possible.
Can I just answer the question, sir? I say it's not possible. It's not correct. It cannot be correct, but it is possible.
So it is possible.
But it cannot be correct, depending on the circumstances of the matter.
I don't understand. It's possible but not correct, but this is not a place for cross-examination.
Did you inquire from the attorneys, the advocates involved in the matter? When did I, according to your records, were you before me, and when did I give you judgment?
The problem
Or
with
from your notes?
regarding the 2011 matter,
Yes, 2010, 2011.
I did not even try to do that, CJ, because the only thing which was furnished to us was the front page of the judgment. My secretary, we were working in Port Elizabeth this week. My secretary tried to phone the registrar's office, and the registrar's office looked at all these files, and we couldn't find any of those files apart from the file that dealt with tri-zone. Even the other one which I am saying, they made an error to say that it was my judgment. It has not been delivered to date. It's because she was able to track it on her computer and then pick it up because she filed some of the judgments. But she couldn't go back to 2011 and 2010, CJ.
Yes.
That was the handicap which we have. We've tried our level best to pull out those files, but we couldn't find them.
Yes.
Apart for the tri-zone file.
Thank you. Commissioner Norman?
Thank you, Chief Justice. Good morning, Judge Makaula.
Good morning,
Yes,
Ms. Naman.
Good morning. Still, I'm just following up on the issue of the judgments. You say you cannot find the Algoa Bus Company file. You couldn't find the Algoa Bus Company
No, I
file.
couldn't.
Now, what I want to understand is the two other judges that you were working with, what do they say happened to that case?
The scribe in that case was Ms. Mchali.
No, I'm talking about in 7.24, sorry.
Let me
Maybe I
check.
should have directed you. The
Let me
Algoa
check,
Bus Company.
let me check the
Pesasani, you were with Zilwa and Inana.
yes, it's the same matter.
Is it the same matter?
Yes, it's the
But-
same matter I'm talking about, the same matter which I say that it's not true, that that judgment was not delivered.
Oh, that
We were
because you
able to
not-
find that that judgment was delivered. We were able to even find the judgment from my secretary's computer, and Nozuko even confirmed. That is Ms. Mchali, I'm sorry. So it is not correct that I sat with Zilwa. The only thing which rang a bell is that in my entire career as a judge, I never sat with Zilwa HA.
All right,
Never.
thank you.
So immediately I picked that up. I made inquiries.
Yes.
Excuse me. And my secretary keeps all the delivered judgments in her computer. She was able to pick it up. We confirmed with with Judge Mchali, and he confirmed that she was the scribe, and the judgment had been delivered.
Thank you. And then in all the committees that you've mentioned that you are involved in your administrative duties to the division, I have not seen you mention anything about how you monitor judgment writing by your judges and how do those judgments get published, and whether you have any interest at all in what your judges write.
We share judgments in our division.
Yes.
Once judgment is delivered, it's circulated.
Yes, and
Then
then
you-
insofar as publication, do you have any role that you play there to say?
No, I don't have any role playing in terms of publication.
Of publication?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
But in terms of the court monitoring committee, that's where one picks up that there's a judge who has got a judgment which is more than 3 months.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
So
Chief
I'm
Justice.
able to monitor that through that committee.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you, Commissioner Norman. Commissioner Msomi.
Thank you so much, CJ. Morning, Judge.
Morning, Mr. Masan. Commissioner Masan.
Yeah. Judge, I'm also just going to raise the same point that seems to be coming up all the time. There is a comment by the Black Lawyers Association. They make reference to a case of West Bank versus estate late Moisedo Tedgani, which they say has been reserved since 2009. And then they then say, on that basis, they cannot support your appointment because it will set a bad precedent.
That was in relation to the 2015 application, October 2015 application, and I dealt with in this commission that I was not well during that period. Oh no, not in respect of that one. That one was a matter which started when I was an acting judge. It was an MTATA matter. It had lost its file. We lost the file, and even there was an ongoing correspondence whereby a file was being reconstructed. I even referred to a letter which was dated from the parties, which was dated in September, a month before the October interviews.
Okay, because this,
I remember that case exactly. That was what happened. And even before this commission, I referred to a letter or correspondence which was dated September of that month, of that year, following the September and then October I came for interviews.
thanks for clarifying that. It's just that this note is dated.
So it's an old note which pertained to the previous interviews.
It's dated the 27th of March, 2017.
Probably
And
they
it-
just
and it-
attached, if I remember reading it, they just attached or stuck to what they said initially, and they referred to the body.
You want to follow up? Yes, Commissioner. Yes, Commissioner Malema.
The judge said he doesn't have a witness, but I observe a very terrible weakness of interrupting Commissioner Msomi as he's answering his question, asking questions. It's a terrible weakness which the judge should have highlighted us to earlier on.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Msomi.
Thank you so much, Chief Justice. You have applied for a leadership position, and it appears that you haven't really acted as the leader in that division. What would you describe, how would you describe your leadership style? What should we expect if you were to emerge out of this process as the favored candidate?
A unifier, somebody who unifies the division, somebody who marries the various DJPs and the various local divisions of the court.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Msomi. Why don't you keep your files with you until you've produced the judgment?
I do now.
Because that seems to be the normal thing. Why leave it to the secretary?
I do that now, CJ, since I came from this commission. You gave advice, and then I took the advice.
Yes.
You admonished me for that, and then I took heed to that. And if I may say this, CJ, from the lessons I learned from my last interview will remain with me for the rest of my life.
Yes.
You were so clear, and even other commissioners were so clear about that.
Thank you, Judge. Commissioner Forey?
Thank you, Chief Justice. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Commissioner Flora.
There's something that's bothering me, and that is, it is clear that the Eastern Cape Society of Advocates are not in support of your appointment as Judge President. Do I understand it correctly?
Yes, I do.
And I get the impression that you are pegging that on the fact that the Eastern Cape Society of Advocates is not transformed.
Not because of that, but because of other reasons.
Okay, would you like to elaborate on those reasons, why you think they're not supporting it? Because you've several times referred to the fact that should you become Judge President, you would like to see transformation in Grahamstown amongst the legal profession. You've quoted figures as to how the Eastern Cape Society of Advocates is made up at the moment. So there is the whole time this insinuation that it is because it's not transformed. But you say it's for other reasons. So would you care to elaborate on those other reasons, please?
If I may add, that is the sidebar as well as the bar, both of them. But I'll give the reasons in respect of both. If one has regards to the number of appointed judges in the whole country from 1994, Grahamstown area has produced only 3 black judges, and I've verified that information. It is retired JP of the SCA Mpati, Miss Mhlantla, the late Judge Sandy. Those are the only 3. But if you look across the Kai, that is the Transkei, starting from the Constitutional Court, the SCA, and even the higher courts, it's full of judges who come and who have been bred by the Eastern Cape Society of Advocates and the attorneys profession. But if you go on the other side of the Kai, there is none. And that is borne out by even the statistics that there is none. There is no hope. I've sat in Grahamstown for the past 10 years, as I said. I've never seen, and I've inquired from other judges, a white silk leading a black junior. I've never seen that. And we do motion court after 2 weeks, 3 times a term. But I've never seen it. It's unique.
But if you...
And if... Oh, yes.
No, I don't want to interrupt you. I just want you to focus on my question. What are those other reasons that you are not supporting?
Those are the reasons I'm relying on. And I thought that you did not get them, and hence I said that there are other reasons. Those are the reasons which pertain to transformation.
That goes back to transformation.
Yes, it goes back to transformation.
Okay.
It pertains to transformation. Hence I say it pertains to transformation. But I may have misinterpreted your question, but those are the reasons which I have.
I'm just concerned that the impression is created that because you are being opposed or not supported, it is because of non-transformation, and as a result of that, it should be viewed with circumspection.
No, not at all. It's a wrong perception. They are telling the truth, and I said even on the last occasion, they were telling the truth when I said there were delayed judgments. I take that. I accept that. They were telling the truth. Even now, I am not saying they're telling the truth, that they're not telling the truth, but I'm saying that I haven't been able to verify their facts. And it's important for me to have verified those facts, more so if they were lied or they misled me in respect of the 4th aspect. So I had to really, because they were saying, I think it was Commissioner Helen, who was saying that What is the problem? The problem is, I don't know whether it's a fact that 2010 and 2011, there was that judgment, which was delayed so long. I don't know about Fani. And the reason why I say so is because I couldn't find the files. And the second reason I say so is because the fourth one, it turned out not to be true.
Yes.
But I cannot, sorry, Mr. Commissioner, I cannot in the list say that they, I insinuate that I say they are not transferred because they are raising these issues.
Yeah.
Hence, I said in my response, I am prepared to sit down with them, show them, and talk about these issues with them.
Yeah. Just on the reserve judgments, my last question. Many commissioners have touched on it, and we dealt with it extensively at your last appearance. Health reasons were advanced as the main reason why that situation occurred. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Are you prepared to share with us what those health reasons or health difficulties were?
I will highlight one other aspect which I think the Commissioner missed. If you look at the tri-zone matter, I'm coming to the question. In fact, let me answer the question. The health reasons which I had were diabetes. I had chronic diabetes. Yeah. It's a known fact among the colleagues. It is a known fact amongst the bar. The bar acknowledges that.
Yes.
So I had chronic diabetes, which was cured.
You say it was cured?
Yes. Not necessarily that I'm free of it,
Yeah.
but it's under control.
Because I see in your questionnaire, paragraph 10, you say, is there anything about the state of her health which should be disclosed to the Commission? You say yes, and you say diabetic.
Yes.
But are you saying that it's under control?
Yes, it is under control.
Thank you, Chief Justice.
And
Thank you, Commissioner Fourie. Commissioner Nkosi Thomas.
Thank you, Chief Justice, and good morning,
morning,
Judge
Commissioner Thomas.
Makaula.
Morning, Commissioner Thomas.
Are you being forthright and truthful with us this morning as a commission in answering questions that are being put to you?
I believe so, I am.
You mentioned a minute ago that when you were here during your last appearance, which was in October of 2015, the Chief Justice admonished you, to use your own words,
Yes.
and you took that admonishment to heart.
Yes.
In other words, Chief Justice provided guidance, which included the fact that you should execute your judicial function with due diligence. In simple language, hand down judgments timelessly. And you saying to us, you took that to heart. In other words, you went back to your office and executed that guidance and instruction.
Yes.
Yes. Now let's take a look at Tri-Zone and see what's happening there.
It's exactly what I wanted to raise with.
Please bear with me.
Yes, I've seen tri-zone.
Yes, please. It's paragraph 7.2.3.
Of the judgment itself.
No, of the commentary from the Eastern Cape Society of Advocates.
Let me go to its
Please.
paragraph 2. I can't seem to find, just a
Page,
minute, Commissioner.
247. Page 247, the top of the page.
Just a minute, Commissioner.
If you look towards the foot of the page, you will...
I'm sorry, Commissioner, let me just get...
Yes, please. No, do take your time, please.
I don't see the comments.
Yes,
Book
Tri-Zone.
1 of 1. Thank you, Mr. Malema.
Yes.
Then the pages, Judge Makaula. And then I go to nominations, just a minute. The one? 1 of 1. Oh, I thought this one is 1 of, oh, this one is 1 of 1 too. This one. 7.2.23. Thank you, Ms. Malema. Yes.
You do have it now?
Yes.
Thank you. You see, what concerns me with that is that you had the matter on the 26th of March 2015. Is that correct?
Yes.
And in the intervening period, October 2015, you appeared before us.
Yes.
And as you appeared before us, that judgment was pending.
Yes.
And that's when the admonishment occurred.
Yes.
The admonishment that you tell us that you observed with due, but then you then go back to your office and you hand down this very judgment armed with the admonition that you're telling us that you observed a cool 5 months later, way beyond the period provided for in the norms and standards. Now, can it be said that you heeded the admonishment in those circumstances?
Painful as it is, I just want to give a brief background to what led to that.
Yes, please, but if you could perhaps say, just answer the question
Yes,
as
I'm
directly as you can.
I'm trying to answer.
Yes,
the question.
please.
I will ask the commissioner, because this is painful to me, to just be patient with me and try and explain this. Hence, I think it was the commissioner after Mr. Nokesa, I'm sorry that I've forgotten, Fori. I said to him, let me take this matter further when he was questioning him about this. But it's painful, but if the commissioner can just allow. I think the interviews were on the 9th. On the 10th, my son was getting married in Mount Frey. 2 weeks down the line, which was on the 1st of November, in front of his wife, in front of his child, in front of my daughter, he ran over his child and killed him. It was an accident, but since then, it was a painful thing. I had to uproot the whole family to Port Elizabeth. I couldn't function. I remember my colleagues in February taking over my duties because of the pain which I had to go through. I had to contend with my son, and I was expecting the worst, that he may commit suicide. I was out of touch. I couldn't concentrate on my work because my son had witnessed himself running over his own son.
I see, I understand
The reason,
that.
therefore,
Yes,
I could
that's
not-
what occasioned the 5-month delay. Now,
That's
let's
what
moving it
occasioned-
right along. Excuse me?
That's what occasioned the 5
Yes.
months. It's because I couldn't function. And
But-
to prove, I'm trying to come to your answer in tri-zone. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
I wrote that judgment and I said to the commissioners that it was with the mistake I want to correct is that 2 heads, they had just filed supplementary heads. It's not correct. What had happened is that it was with the researchers. When it came back from the researchers said, we don't agree with your conclusion, and came up with considerations to take into account. I took those into consideration, gave it to a colleague to look at it because I couldn't function properly. The colleague came back with other suggestions. That is the reason why. I was under tremendous stress, which I'm still under even currently, because no parent would ever wish to do that. Everybody was running amok at my place because of that. So that's the reason why tri-zone was delivered so late. And I could not write that in on the answering papers.
Thank you.
But it's a matter which I was aware when I came before.
What is this about researchers now?
Last time, CJ, I said this tri-zone was with the researchers.
Yes, what role do they play? But
They
to
play a
research?
major role, the researchers, because they check what you're writing about, they check the citations, they check the conclusion.
So they disagreed with you?
Not necessarily, they came back with suggestions. That's what I say, that with suggestions, it happens all the time.
And then that delayed the process?
Not necessarily delayed the process, because I took those and I agreed with some of them, and then I wrote the judgment, and then I handed it over to a colleague.
President Maya?
Good morning, Judge Makaula.
Good morning, Judge.
Are you well?
I am.
Good.
I am, Commissioner Maya.
I want to raise just 2 issues with you, arising from answers you gave earlier. You and I know that gender transformation remains a big challenge in the Eastern Cape Division. earlier you seemed to shift the responsibility of preparing women judges wholly to the professions. And I just want to ask you if you are telling us that there isn't anything the judiciary can do to contribute to that effort.
There are many things which even currently the judiciary is doing. There are many things. I was merely concentrating on Grahamstown because even the judiciary will have to source what it is going to take through in the courses which it offers from practitioners who practice in the division. So in the absence of them, then the efforts of the OCJ's office through SIJ are going to be thwarted. We have to have a foundation in the base from which to draw, other than from the academics and all. That's what it is in that context that I was answering that. But we have a responsibility to develop and build female judges. Female judges are a challenge. Hence, I was able to say, even in Grahamstown PE, there are only 10. There were only 3. But it is incumbent upon me to identify women judges and to fast-track them. It is an issue which we cannot run away from. It's been cured, Commissioner Meyer, in Grahamstown, because there are many up-and-coming female advocates and female attorneys. But there are none when it comes to black practitioners.
You know, what concerns me is that over a number of years now, I think, women, there's been no shortage of women candidates who have presented themselves to this commission, and for some reason, they were found not to be up to scratch. And I just want to find out, because we know there is no shortage of women magistrates, women attorneys, women advocates, women teachers in the Eastern Cape. What are the challenges? Why can't the women who come to act in your courts, why can't, what is it that what experience are they not getting when they are in those courts?
I think the major problem which has to be sorted out is mentoring. They have to be mentored. Once an acting judge is appointed, a senior judge has to be appointed or to be approached to mentor that person. If I understand the question correctly, that's how I think one can cure that. Mentoring. Because what's happening is that they are thrown at the deep end, and one has to fend for himself or herself. But I've taken it upon myself to approach acting judges and to offer my services to them. I've done it on numerous occasions.
You also mentioned that you recently found, your monitoring committee recently found that there are cases as old as 8 years. And I just want to find out what the cause of those delays would be. Do you have any idea?
I do have an idea. You shall recall, Commissioner Meyer, when you were in the Transkei. You have to know the area. You have to know the culture of the area. We interrogated that case. It's a case which is being handled by an acting judge. We've given it what we normally do in our PSC, we prioritize 20 cases which are old, and we deal with them. This one was one of them. And if you look at the record, there are all sorts of reasons why it was postponed. The accused is not ill, is not well, the legal representative is not there, the witnesses have not arrived. There are also a myriad of reasons which come up. But as I said initially, what needs to be done is that those cases need to be specifically monitored and managed. You call all the stakeholders involved, you sit them down before the date of trial, you cause them to commit to the trial being proceeded with. And it's easy to do, because once you manage it weeks before, then every problem is sorted out. So I think the problem is a myriad of reasons which is caused by the various stakeholders. But my argument is, Ms. Meyer, if legal aid is appointed in Grahamstown and everything starts and runs in Grahamstown, where the same stakeholders are operating, Why is it so that in Umtata they don't? It's the culture, which has to be dealt with directly and nipped in the bud.
Thank you, Judge Makaula. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, President Maya. Commissioner Nokesi?
Thank you, CJ. Good morning, Judge Makaula.
Morning, Commissioner Nokesi.
There is something that troubles me. There is something that troubles me, which I just heard about it, that there is resistance to case flow management by judges in your division, that is Grahamstown. Are you aware of that?
I am aware that there is resistance. There was, if I may say so, and there probably still is, because of the view that everything is running smoothly in Grahamstown. But the JP, on our last deliberations, our last meeting, came hard and decided that it should be implemented. But subsequent to that, there was correspondence from the committee which deals with case flow. But JP took a decision that it has to be implemented. But there was initial resistance because they felt that there was no need for it.
All right. Also, in your statement you say things are done differently by the stakeholders, for instance, in Grahamstown than in Umtata and also. But as I understand, the PEEC is the provincial structure. In that structure, you represent the JP. You
Yes.
sit there as a representative of the JP.
Yes.
All the heads of departments
Are there?
are there. How then it would come about? In fact, I want to understand, this assertion you're making that, look, in Umtata there's different approach. When you sit with these stakeholders, their own leaders, in which event, what is happening in Grahamstown is supposed to happen in Umtata. How does it happen?
I think the problem, Commissioner Nokesi, is with the local people in Umtata. That is the Commissioner of Prisons, the Legal Aid Board, the NTPP. Because what you find is that when you go there, they will say that everything is fine. But in truth and in reality, all the case law blockages, they come from those stakeholders. Hence, I say that there is a problem in Transkei, which is not there in other areas. Because in Grahamstown, if a matter is set down, it runs and it gets finished. But in Umtata, it doesn't. For all sorts of reasons which are covered by the stakeholders. So hence I say that it's on that basis that I say there is a problem.
And my last question, the funny way of running motion court in the Umtata division, where, for instance, there would be two roles in the same court because judge is saying they cannot do more than 25 cases of Umtata. Whereas in other division, there is a single role run by one judge, resulting in judge who ended first in the court. Once he finishes roll at 11 o'clock, he take his bag and leave. What would you do if now you are appointed as a JP in view of those practical experiences that are taking place there?
I wish to bring to your attention, Commissioner Nokesi, that it is not the correct view. This thing of running two courts started in PE because we could not cope with the workload, and more so especially when it comes to opposed matters. One would have 8 or 10 opposed matters, which run from Thursday to Friday. And then it was felt that we're not doing justice to those files. And then it was decided that there should be two courts, motion court courts. We had to introduce that towards mid last year in Grahamstown as well. And the reason was similarly the same. Because of the migration of work, if I may call it that way, migration of work from Umtata to Grahamstown, our role was bursting. I remember for 6 consecutive weeks, each motion court judge did not entertain less than 8 opposed matters. To an extent that before we appealed to the JP, that a second judge should be introduced. And even before we did so, we would help each other. So the reason why it was introduced in Mthatha as well is because it is working elsewhere. It is working in PE, it is working in Grahamstown, and there has to be uniformity. And this brings me to one aspect which is the problem in Mthatha as well, the question of backlog cases. The High Court has got backlog cases, and we have found, and we have discussed that even in our meetings, that Mthatha should not be different from the other two divisions, because there has to be an introduction of a running role, both in civil and in criminal cases. And that it has, PE, we've done away with backlog cases. And if that is introduced in Mthatha as well, we are sure and confident that if a running role is introduced and a dedicated court which has to be supervised by the head of the station, to see to it that it is running daily, to see to it that it meets the court hours which are talked about in case law on a daily basis. And then in that event, Mthatha's problems, I think, will be a thing of the past. But chatting, I think there's a problem. But you can do so much if you are not a deputy at the places.
Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you, Commissioner Nokesi. Are we to understand, Judge Makaula, that Deputy Judge President Nhlangulela, who is in charge of the Mthatha High Court, has proved to be ineffective because the things you mentioned, identifying a court dedicated to this and ensuring that motion roll is not split, ensuring that stakeholders do what is required of them, so that there is no backlog that you have alluded to, ought to be his concerns, his responsibilities. Are we to understand that he has not been able to do what ought to be expected of a head of a court?
Not at all, CJ. What I'm saying is that what we resolved and discussed in our meeting, first day of term meeting, is that the problems, because we talk about the problems in the division, what we said and suggested is that these should be implemented, and if it is correctly implemented, it will deal with the problems which are in Mthatha. So what I'm saying is not coming from me per se. It's what we have discussed in his presence and come up with suggestions.
But it was his responsibility to make sure that those problems are not there.
Yes, that I cannot shy away from.
I see.
I cannot shy away from that. I cannot shy away. It is his division. It's not my division. And I can do so much if I'm not the JP, but it is his division. He runs the division. I am of the view I may be wrong. He may come up and say something else. But as a collective of the department, of the whole division, that was our view. We had a similar problem in PE. We introduced a running role both in criminal and civil matters, and it worked.
Yes. Is he from Mthatha?
You mean?
Deputy Judge President Langule.
You mean by birth?
Does he have the same exposure to Mthatha and Transkei that you have?
I am not sure. I don't want to lie to you, CJ.
Okay.
I've been in Mthatha for long.
Yes.
I've traveled all those courts in Mthatha.
Yes.
I know each and every one.
Yes. Thank you very much, Judge Makaula. You're excused.
Thank you very much, CJ.